The 1920s led to a lot of new developments and expansion in modern cities. In the 50 years from 1870 to 1920, the number of Americans in cities grew from 10 million to 54 million. In the 20th century, cities grew in population and expanded geographically by absorbing nearby communities. Although murder and other crimes were rare in the nation in the late 19th century, rates rose in cities. Robbery and theft were commonplace, and prostitution flourished more openly than before. Cheap newspapers exaggerated increases in crime with sensational stories. Professional police forces were created in the late 19th century to keep order and protect property. The Prohibition period from 1920 to 1933 had the unintended effect of increasing organized crime in America, as manufacturing, importing, and selling illegal alcohol provided a financial windfall for gangs of criminals in the cities. The money was used to expand the influence of organized crime into gambling, prostitution, narcotics, and some legitimate businesses. Police and judges were sometimes bribed. The early 1920s were plagued with gang violence and bathtub brews, all of which stem from the federal ban on the manufacturing, sale, and transportation of alcohol. Although the prohibition was set on ridding the country of alcohol, all it did was push the manufacturing and selling into the underground. This led to large gang fighting over liquor territories, and hidden bars called speakeasies or blind pigs, all of which only made the liquor industry a more lucrative business. The prohibition was brought upon by large groups of people, the dry advocates and the anti-alcohol preachers. The dry advocates argued that barley would be better used to aid forces overseas by baking bread and other goods, while the anti-alcohol activists believed that alcohol only brings bad upon the society, and without it, it would be better. Enterprising bootleggers produced millions of gallons of bathtub gin and rock gut moonshine during the Prohibition. These specific brews had famously foul tastes, and those who desperate enough to drink it also ran the risk of being struck blind or even poisoned. The most deadly tinctures contained industrial alcohol originally made for use in fuels and medical supplies. The federal government had required companies to denature industrial alcohol to make it undrinkable as early as 1906. But during the Prohibition, it ordered them to add quinine and methyl, as well as other toxic chemicals, as a further deterrent. Coupled with low-quality products from bootleggers, this tainted booze may have killed more than 10,000 people before the repeal of the 18th Amendment. The 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. Ratified on August 18, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution granted American women the right to vote, a right known as women's suffrage. At the time the U.S. was founded, its female citizens did not share all of the same rights as men, including the right to vote. Building on post-war optimism, the rural Americans migrated to cities in massive numbers throughout the decade with the hopes of finding a more prosperous life. While the American cities prospered, the overproduction of agricultural produce created widespread financial despair among American farmers throughout the decade. This would later be blamed as one of the key factors that led to the 1929 stock market crash. Despite the speculation, many believed the stock market would continue to rise forever. On March 25, 1929, the Federal Reserve warned of excessive trading, and the mini-crash occurred as investors started to sell stocks at a rapid pace. This was the first time the market's shaky foundation was exposed. The selling of stocks intensified in mid-October. On October 24th, which came to be known as Black Thursday, the market lost 11% of its value at the opening bell because of very heavy trading. This meant that the reporting on prices on the ticker tape was hours late, so investors had no idea what most stocks were actually trading in at the moment, thus increasing panic. The next day was Black Tuesday, October 29th, 1929, the stock market crash. 16 million shares were traded as the panic selling reached its peak. Some stocks actually had no buyers at all at any price that day. The Dow lost an additional 30 points, or 12%. and the volume of stocks traded on October 29, 1929, was a record that would not be broken for the next 40 years. Due to the massive volume of stocks traded that day, the ticker did not stop running until 7:45 that evening. The market lost over $30 billion in the space of a week, which included $14 billion on October 29th alone.